Welcome back, boys and girls, to the library. Settle down for more terrifying tales. Have you ever wondered what comes after life? The afterlife? Reincarnation? Nothing? Well, in tonight's episode, you're going to hear some stories that theorize as to some of the possibilities. A lightning bolt of pain shot the length of his arm. A feeling as if his chest were being crushed followed. He watched as the world around him dimmed out of existence. Richard opened his eyes. The view seemed to be wrong. He reached in front of his face and pressed the ceiling tile. It lifted. Richard tried to recall what had happened as he gazed at the ceiling tile, wondering why it was there. He'd been in a pub. There'd been an argument about something. Richard pressed the ceiling tile again. Oh, yeah. The landlord owed him a lot of money. No, not him. The boss, with a capital B. Yeah, that scummy landlord owed the boss a lot. Richard lifted the tile higher. Dust and crud fell onto his face, but he didn't feel it. He started smiling as he nodded to himself. He'd taught that bugger a lesson. He'd deserved that glass in his face. Richard had pulled the guy over the bar and onto the floor. It had only taken a few punches to stave in the landlord's cheekbones. Richard felt a tug. As he turned, he saw a tunnel of swirling black smoke. At the furthest end, a deep lava-red fire seemed to burn. Dread seeped into him. White tunnel. White tunnel. His mind started screaming. Black-caped figures drifted up from the dark abyss. Gnarled, clawed hands gripped spears and scythes. Blazing red eyes in deep-set sockets stared out from fire-ravaged faces. "White tunnel!" he screamed. No sound came as he drifted into the turbulent, pitch-black vortex. The demon with the scythe swung it in a wide arc. The tip of its blade sliced through Richard's calf, hooking him like a fish. Searing pain surged through his body. The other grotesque being launched the spear up through his chin. It exited by his ear, ripping it off. More pain enveloped him. The beasts rolled him over. He saw the body on the gurney, but it sat up. He recognized the landlord. The vortex closed. Richard opened his eyes. The view seemed to be wrong. I glanced at my watch for what seemed the 100th time and drummed my fingers on the seat. "Is there any update on this traffic?" I asked the taxi driver. He shrugged and peered at me through his rear-view mirror. "Nah, mate. The last bulletin said there was an accident going over the QE2 bridge and all the traffic going south is at a standstill." I tutted, forcing myself not to look yet again at my watch. My flight was in less than 2 hours, so I was already cutting it fine. The presentation later today in Brussels was critical to my business. If I pulled it off, it would keep the wolf from the door for a couple of years at least. The taxi moved forward 6 feet and then ground to a stop again. "Shit," I said to myself. Grabbing my mobile, I called Sandra at the office. "Sandra, it's Jim," I said curtly, trying to control my anger. "Oh, hi Jim," she said. "Everything okay?" I wasn't in the mood for niceties. "Can you call the client?" I heard Sandra speaking, but her voice was cracking up. "Sandra?" A brief burst of static, then nothing. I looked at my phone as if it was some sort of alien. "The fucking battery's dead," I said incredulously. The cabbie turned in his seat, his overweight body making the chair squeak loudly. "Trouble?" "Nothing you can help me with," I said, forcing a smile. I sat back in the chair, feeling a sudden pain in my chest. "Calm down, you'll be no use dead," I thought to myself. I took some deep breaths and closed my eyes. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, the cabbie was gently prodding me. I awoke, startled, losing my bearings for a moment. Two things I noticed. One was that we hadn't seemed to have moved in the traffic, and secondly, the cabbie was pointing at a small TV he had in the cab. The headline said, "Brussels-bound plane crashes at Gatwick, killing all passengers and crew." I had missed my flight. I've been getting away with it for years and years, and then some stupid bastard has blown my cover. After the war, I carried on flying Dakotas. I was based in Pensacola, Florida, and was running a fantastic operation where we brought up old and or damaged Dakotas, restored them lovingly, and had a ready-made market in Mexico. I used to fly down to Key West every Thursday in one of our works of art, exhibited to visiting Mexicans, then flew them home on board for a cash sale. I spent the weekend teaching them how to fly the old bird, and then every Sunday I would catch a small Embraer Bandeirante 20-seater aircraft back home with a Mexican guy who worked out of the Everglades during the week, ripping off tourists in his boat powered by a Merlin engine. He used to drop me in Pensacola for the price of my company and a meal. The first deceit was that it was very easy to buy up old USAF Dakotas as scrap, and with a bit of paper doctoring they apparently remained airworthy. The second deceit was that paint made them look new and restored. The third deceit was adding compound in the fuel, and the engines always sounded brand new. But the last deceits were easy. As a regular flyer every Sunday out of the same Mexican airport, nobody noticed me. I wore an airline pilot's uniform, carried a large briefcase that looked to be full of maps and manuals, and nodded and saluted at the regular border control and security guys. Cash for the aircraft sale slotted nicely into my bag, as did small quantities of recreational commodities. But I always bought a couple of dozen of the really best local Mexican avocado pears. And then some stupid bastard robbed a couple of banks in Israel, threatening cashiers with armed grenades that turned out to be merely painted avocado pears. Some smart-arsed controller read about it and decided, as a job's worth, that maybe people were taking weapons into the US disguised as avocados. Cover blown. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Now run away, children. Run away back to your beds and get some sleep, if you can. I'll see you next time in the library, if you dare.